Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting. I will now call the meeting to order. All right, the agenda is there before you. Could I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Tilley. All those in favour? Motion carried. Minutes of the meeting from February 4th. Are there any errors or omissions? All good. Any business arising? No? Okay. We have one piece of correspondence, and that will be referred to by the Planning and Development Committee when that comes up in a couple of minutes. Okay, and before we go any further, I just want to acknowledge that the Deputy Mayor and Councillor King were unable to attend our meeting tonight for personal reasons. Okay, with that said, we will now move on to Planning and Development Update. Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, there's a lot of updates to provide tonight, in the absence of Deputy Mayor for Planning and Development and Councillor Sadie King for Infrastructure and Public Works. So this is the warm-up now. I'll be back later.
It's all yours.
Yeah, so bear with me, guys, and of course, if there's any questions, jump in. Planning Committee met on February 12th. Quite a number of topics were discussed, and I'll review those with you, and we'll pass or raise the motions for discussion, and also the correspondence that you just referenced, Mayor. I'll address that and our response from Council on behalf of staff and all of us. So first I'll start with the update from the meeting itself, if I could, right? I'll do that first, and then we'll come back to the correspondence at the end.
Sure.
If that's okay with you. So we discussed a 65 Ridge Road, a residential application in RMD zone. That is a motion that's going to be before us here tonight. We also discussed 9 Northside Road residential in a mixed development zone, and that's going to be a motion here tonight. Both are recommended for approval. There was correspondence received prior on 32 Salmoneer Line, a application for light industrial in a mixed development zone, and in response to the correspondence received to the advertisement, we held a session during week past with the 2 individuals who had expressed or wanted to have the opportunity to speak to council. So we chaired those sessions, and they went very well. Kudos to staff for facilitating. And one of those 2 were fine with the application. So that'll come forward at a subsequent meeting. But just wanted to give a little update. I mean, we're always talking about making sure that everyone knows what's going on in the committee meetings, right? So I just wanted to give a little update on that. We also discussed the regional plan, and there's a municipal plan amendment here that we'll put forward as a motion as well. And generalized permit listing, which included a variety of items, such as a garage in Highland Park, windfall and selective cutting in various locations around the town, and site preparation on Duff's Road, and occupancy permit for Harbour Drive. Those are the permit listing that's on the first motion, right? So I just want to describe what they were, okay? First I'll get into the update now before we read the actual motions. We'll do that. And then we can have the motions and some discussion, if that's okay. So, in regards to some correspondence from a resident, there was an inquiry referencing council and how we conducted decisions of council. And I think it's very important to ensure that all the residents that are out there listening and everybody's aware of what the processes and procedures are of council. And there are procedures, right? It's not a fly-by-night and a knee-jerk reaction to things as they come up. We do our due diligence, and there is a process and procedure to everything that's done here in the town of Holyrood. Much of the work on development applications guided by Planning and Development Committee with input from Infrastructure and Public Works Committee as required. And that's where the applications are reviewed, the checks and balances relating to zoning, regulations, permitted use are discussed within the committee, and then we bring forward a recommendation here to council, and a motion is put forward to vote, and everyone can vote to their conscience and their understanding of said motion for approval or non-approval at this public meeting. And we'll have some of those here tonight. And I just touched on some of them earlier. And there's times when applications for development come into the town and they need more work. That due diligence of the staff and council might require gathering information from professional resources, third-party experts, such as town planner that we engage from time to time, and our retained legal counsel. And on those occasions, a decision is not made or a recommendation brought forward to council. It's because we're waiting on more information to make an informed recommendation so council can make a sound decision. That does not mean the decision has been made behind the scenes to not move the application forward. It means the committee does not have all the information they need to make a fair and reasonable recommendation to council. In all cases, the goal of council is to encourage development, and in so doing, we are committed to doing it right. Decisions of council are done at these public meetings, and the recommendations of committees are brought forward during the department updates, and the public are therefore made aware of the status, or if there's more work to be done on some other applications. So that's the process around the development application. In regards to the town planning process, the town plan review and update for the next 10 years has been a very detailed process. This actually goes back to the previous council and then extended into this council's term. We have a town planner with the expertise to guide us through the process and ensure we do the due diligence in establishing land use zones and regulations for the benefit of all development and growth in the town. The process takes a lot of time, and that's important to make sure that it gets done correctly. We've had 2 public consultations. They were very effective from a planning perspective. The people who came forward to participate were heard, and their feedback has been taken into consideration. The plan itself contains the goal, objectives, and vision that were established through the strategic planning process prepared by the current report for the period of 2024 to 2027. During the process of the current report, there were other opportunities for public input through several methods, like public consultations. We held sessions for that, and there was a survey process held. The goals, objectives, and vision were adopted according to the report and are entrenched in all of our policies and plans. There's no need for further development of these aspects of our town until the next development phase of the strategic plan in 2027. The residents have already spoken throughout the strategic plan process. So the resident that sent the correspondence, that should more than satisfy the concern that was raised and hopefully go a little ways to educating other residents who might be interested in the details around the process. That's a lot of information. So, I don't know, maybe that's an MCA, or maybe there's a way we can, part of our communication policy, release that through means on the website or something of that nature. Okay, so Mayor, thank you. That addresses the correspondence. Had a little update in the planning committee meeting. Now I'm going to bring forward the motions as described. The first one, general permits. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 4 permits were issued from January 24th to February 28th, 25. Permit numbers 010009-25 to 02-0012-25. And they include permits for accessory buildings, site preparation, occupancy. These were the items I mentioned in the update. Garage, windfall, selective cutting, very standard, normal permits that we would issue on a day-to-day basis, and certainly no issues with any of that. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Windsor, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Against? Motion is carried.
Thank you. And now the next motion was touched on earlier in the update. 65 Ridge Road is a residential development in the zoning area as RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Windsor, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? All those in favour? Against? Motion is carried.
Thank you. And similar residential application, although it's in a mixed development zone. It's on 9 Northside Road. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Windsor, seconded by Councillor Crawley. I think that should be RMD for the zoning, residential medium density?
No, that's mixed
Or
development.
mixed development?
Yeah, that's mixed development.
Okay, okay, sorry. All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Against, motion is carried.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, which is your favorite, Mayor, is as part of the process when there's a regional plan amendment from another municipality. It's a proposed amendment in the St. John's Urban Regional Plan Amendment number 108, 2025, Municipal Plan Amendments number 2, and Development Regulations Amendment number 3, 2024. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood has no comment on the proposed amendment from the Town of Logie Bay, Middle Cove, and Outer Cove. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Windsor, seconded by Councillor Tilley, and I'm going to be a good boy and I'm not going to say anything. Okay.
All right.
That was voted on. Okay, just move a second. Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against, motion is carried. A lot of motions.
Whew. Okay, that's, thank you guys. That's it for planning and development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Windsor. And another couple of residential applications here tonight passed, which is great. Councillor Crawley.
I'd just like to point out that all the committees follow that same, I know I was talking about planning and development, but all our committees follow the same procedures in place as that as well. That we meet as a committee, we send our recommendations forward, and it's voted on by. So I just want to make sure that we clarify that all committees follow that policy and procedure.
And that's the magic word at the committee level, is making recommendations. So after all the information has been ascertained, flushed out, discussed at the committee level in recognizing our development regulations and town plan, and we do our due diligence at that level, then the recommendation unanimously is put forth before council, either at a committee of the whole, where it requires further discussion of all council, and then eventually it comes to the regular meeting in the form of a motion for approval or rejection. Okay? All right, thank you very much, sir, for that update. And now we'll move on to recreation and community events. Councillor Tilley.
Good evening, everybody. My cohort, Councillor King, is not with us tonight, so I guess it's all up to me for this one. So just to recap, our meeting we had on February the 12th, in attendance was Councillor Sadie King, the Mayor, myself, and the Director, Kyle Hocko. So basically, the biggest part we were doing at that meeting on February the 12th was doing the crossing the final T's and dotting the I's for Crystal Carnival. And in over the last couple of weeks, I think everybody can agree it was a huge success. To me, the dedication of the people, snowstorm, everybody was digging out the snow and trying to make everything good for the road race, where 2 busloads of people still came and showed up for the 5-kilometer road race. It was phenomenal. From the cook-off, the chili cook-off, to the sold-out events for the senior scuff and everything else, it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Kudos to our director, Kyle Hocko, for putting off such a great event. Mother Nature kind of put a habit to our outdoors ice skating, and we had to cancel our polar dip. Again, why people would want to jump in the ocean in the middle of the winter is still totally beyond me, but it's a great event, and I did see that some people did it on their own anyway, just to keep up the tradition, so that was great to see. So again, great success with the carnival, Crystal Carnival. Can't wait again till next year. Hopefully, Mother Nature will help us with ice and snow again next year, so we can do it. When it comes to now the winter programs, they're up and running. The Actor for Life is going. Zumba Goal is going well. Mini Movers, they have somebody taking care of that program now, so that's great. That's up and running. That's a great program. Getting small kids, getting out, getting moving. Wonderful program. Going forward, I guess now we cross off the box for Crystal Carnival. Now we're straight into Squidfest. So the dates were announced on the website earlier the week. So we're looking for a great Squidfest this year. Kyle has been working hard on the lineup, working hard on the venue. So this year is going to be a little bit different, and different's always good. Shakes it up, gives it a good perspective. But other than that, I don't think. Usually I pass it over to Councillor King to see if I left anything out. But that was my notes for the recreation and community events.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Tilley. Well said. Any other questions or comments? If not, we will move on to infrastructure and public works. Councillor Windsor, you're
Back again so
on your
soon.
decks again.
Yeah, I'm the same on the polar dip, Councillor Tilley. I can't imagine doing it, but they say it is very, very beneficial for the physical and mental health. Right? I think mental do it.
I did the first one. I did the first one, and I know the feeling.
Maybe one of these days I'll build up the nerve. Should be a wager for that. Okay, so infrastructure and public works. We met on February 20th. So I've got a number of updates here from the committee meetings and just one motion. So I probably won't be up here as long as I was the last time. I'll start with project updates. So we talked about the sewer treatment facility upgrades and water tank projects, and we're trying to move those along so that we can execute in the upcoming and very short construction season. So currently we're seeing some delays from the Department of Environment, and the town is working very hard with all the stakeholders to conclude this in a technically sound and timely manner, so we don't put the start of the construction at risk. So what's going on is normal process, engineering review and commentary and comment reconciliation. That's good practice to make sure that all stakeholders have the opportunity to review and check, make sure things are done right. No problem. We got to make sure it's done in a timely fashion, however, so that we don't risk the RFP, the tender, the construction start, and so on, right? So we'll stay tuned on that. That's just a quick update. Town's working very hard to move things along with all the interested parties. Engaging the engineering company, the third-party consultant, municipal affairs is good, bringing everyone to the table and making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed so we can get these really, really important projects executed for the Town of Holyrood. That's that project update. Boland and Healy's Cove outfalls. The committee reviewed cost estimates that were received for the clean out of Boland's. We are recommending that we monitor that outfall in 2025 and set aside to 26 budget the clean out activity. Barring any unforeseen changes, that is the plan. And for Healy's, we are going to investigate and assess that with staff this spring and follow up with an update accordingly. Third item, water line extensions. It's something that was brought forward by one area resident in particular, made application, but these things happen from time to time. And I think I touched on at the last public meeting, I believe, and that what the committee was doing was developing a set of criteria that could be established. And the director is working on that. So he is going to ensure that we have that for consistency and standardization, so that whenever these things come across town as an application, they're done in the same manner each and every time, so that council can make informed decisions. And it's again, we're not doing things that are to the whims of council or committee. It's done in a very standardized and appropriate manner. So more to come on that. The 2005 Sterling dump truck we talked about before, disposal of assets, and we did discuss an appraisal price, and we set what was an appropriate reserve price for future auction. So we want to make sure that we get maximum value possible for the town, and if we don't get that, we'll postpone it until a future date. The next item to discuss at the committee was the sewer line extension letter that was raised at the last public meeting, and we acknowledge that, a very professional letter, and we like to receive those sorts of things. Very well written by those residents. We discussed it at the committee level, and the action is we're formulating a formal letter response to return to the residents. And the last item, which will be related to the motion, is a wastewater workshop being held in Gander end of this month, March 25th to 27th. And going back to the upgraded wastewater treatment facility we mentioned in the project updates, it's going to be very important when that's done and operational that we have qualified personnel who are trained with all the appropriate certificates. That is coming now as a requirement, and the certificates issued by the provincial government as part of our wastewater plant and permit to operate. And we as council and committee, we support professional development and education. It's not just because it's a requirement, but I think there's value in doing that whenever we can. So the committee is recommending that we be proactive in this regard, and we take the measures for the professional development in regards to the training. And there is no fee to attend the actual session in Gander, but we would have to cover the cost of travel, accommodations, and some meals for the individuals going. And we're recommending the director and at least one employee go to this session. I'll read the motion. That concludes the update, so I might as well read the related motion there. And once we do that, if anyone had any other questions, we can address them at that time. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approve the costs associated with Director of Public Works and a member of Public Works staff attend the 2025 Water and Wastewater Workshop sponsored by the Department of Environment and Climate Change in Gander, March 25th to 27th. The cost includes hotel, travel, and meals for a total of $1,198.65. The event will consist of technical presentations and hands-on demonstrations covering various operation and maintenance activities and treatment options relating to community water and wastewater systems. This will enhance the town's ability to ensure procedures and processes regarding waste and wastewater up to date and integrated in daily activities associated with both functions. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Windsor, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? I think this will be a great session for our Director of Public Works and the other employee that will be attending as well. I'm sure it's going to be extremely beneficial. Very important topic.
I think so. Agree, Mayor. And it's come up before a few times. We have the our water supply system. So a lot of us are on wastewater, but our water supply system and the green sand and the filtration and the different things that need to be done in regards to that. And guys do a great job. Start with that. But we can always learn and enhance and sharpen our skills.
Exactly. And
I think it's really important that we do this and keep an eye out for future other related opportunities to keep doing that.
And you can hear stories from other municipalities.
Yeah, lessons learned from other municipalities, and find ways to deliver better quality service to the residents of Holyrood. I think that's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
Education always pays off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion points on the other matters updated, or?
We'll give you a break at the next meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, our Deputy Mayor is unavailable tonight, as advised you earlier, so we will have more information on economic development. There was one particular item regarding economic development specific, and that was discussed previously at a committee of the whole with our legal counsel. So we'll have more at the next meeting. So now we'll move on to public safety. Councillor King and Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start it off, and Councillor Tilley will close the loop. But before I get into the public safety update, I want to acknowledge two members on the public safety team. And I want to acknowledge Councillor Tilley and our CAO, Marjorie Gibbons, on being the recipients. I almost going to say the King Bruce, but technical error. The King Charles III Coronation Medal. Okay, both of them in the past couple of weeks were the recipients of that. Both of them, you know, the medal is with regards to dedication towards your committee or your community, volunteerism, your careers, and everything else. And it's a great honor to be recognized by the community and by your peers and by the community itself, and of course by the King. Recognize you by the King. And anyway, I want to congratulate you both. Very well deserved. And now for the other stuff. The Public Safety Committee, we had our meeting on February 18th. Those people in attendance was the fire chief, the mayor, the CAO, myself, and Councillor Tilley sent her regrets. We have a motion also tonight with regards to, we discussed the opportunity to sit down and have a face-to-face with the Commissioner of the RCM, or the Assistant Commissioner of the RCMP, the Public Safety Minister, and we also had looking at the Transportation Minister. Anyway, there's a motion tonight for Council to invite the Assistant Commissioner of the RCMP and the Public Safety Minister to a meeting here to discuss public safety and policing within Holyrood. There's a lot of things going on in the world today that's making things far more worse than probably what it was last year. One of the things that the RCMP Commissioner or the Assistant Commissioner said at the meeting out in Gander was that crime is on the increase, and the biggest driver of crime here in Newfoundland and Labrador is drugs. But with everything else going on today, the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of everything, people are now switching the focus to, crime may not be, or drugs may not be the main reason that people are stealing and doing other things. It may come down to the fact that they're doing it now to eat, right? You go into the grocery store today, and what was, $2 last week is $4 this week. And I mean, for you to go out and buy a steak now, you're going to have to put your house up as collateral, right? So, and with what's happening now south of the border and the tariffs and stuff, it's only going to make things even more expensive. And of course, people in desperate times, people do desperate things. So we're looking forward to sitting down with the minister and the assistant commissioner and talk about that. We discussed Route 60. Route 60 is awful. I guess that's the best word. Only last week, down on Duff Strait, within the space of a couple of hours, there were 7 different vehicles that had extensive damage done to their vehicles, whether it be rims, tires. So that's thousands of dollars, right? And, it was open for the longest period of time before anybody reacted. And the Department of Highway or Transportation and Infrastructure sends a supervisor back and forth that road pretty well almost every single day. So how you don't see potholes, and how you don't pick up the phone and call the depot and say, look, there's a pothole at such and such a place in Holyrood, or anywhere, not just Holyrood, and see if you can get it fixed, right? The other option that we brought up even a couple of years ago was allow us to do it and use it as a pilot project. Our guys could probably get down there a lot faster, fix it, at least fix it up to the point where people's vehicles are not being damaged. And then Department of Transportation and Works can fix it up. So hopefully that will sort itself out. We talked about, I'm going to put the two of these here together. We talked about the replacement of bunker gear. We also talked about the exhaust extraction system in the fire hall. Both go hand in hand, because if you turn on the fire truck, and the chief or the mayor probably knows this better than anyone else, if the doors are closed, where does the fumes going to go, right? Other than staying in the building, and it also, that stuff attaches itself to your equipment and to your body. So anyway, the fire chief is looking after that, and he will bring recommendations back to the Public Safety Committee, and in turn we will bring them back to council to see what he has. The other one I want to talk about is this is Fraud Prevention Month. Okay, the month of March is fraud prevention. There's all kinds of scams out there. Make sure you let people know, especially if you got elderly parents and stuff like that. Let them know, because there's people phone you for different things and everything else, and just make people aware that it is Fraud Prevention Month. The other one is civic addresses, and I can speak to this directly because it happened to me directly. Okay? It was only on the 16th of February in the evening, around 7 o'clock in the evening. I was out clearing snow, and an ambulance came in my driveway with the lights flashing, and of course I stopped shoveling, went over and talked to the young fellow that was the ambulance driver, and he asked me the civic number, and I said, yes, this is the civic number, Conception Bay Highway. And he said, do you have a child in a medical emergency? And I said, no, I don't have a child, although I got a 23-year-old. It sometimes it could go either way. But anyway, he turned around and said, well, I guess it's the wrong place. So he went back out to Route 60 and went back down to CBS. Right? But it should be scary, because, I mean, if Councillor Windsor, for example, I'm only using Councillor Windsor because he's right across from me, you know, if he had a child, for example, and living in CBS and a medical emergency, I wouldn't be very happy to find out that the ambulance ended up going to Holyrood, right? Right? Because the time it takes to go to Holyrood, find out that you're in the wrong place, and go back to CBS, you know, instead of taking somebody to the hospital, you could very well be taking them to the morgue, right? And anyway, after it was all over, I went in and I Googled my civic number, and all I used was my number and the Conception Bay Highway. There was 6 different numbers came up in CBS, in Bay Roberts, in Coley's Point, Spaniards Bay, and I think one in Colliers, right? So, and the chief is also going to speak to the dispatchers and the fire department as well. That and a word to people: when you call 911, as an example, make sure that not only do you say your, especially if you're on Route 60, say your civic address, but also make sure that you tell them, by the way, it's Holyrood, right? Because if not, it could very well end up down in CBS or God knows where else, right? So I got all the, I'll pass it over to Councillor Tilley, and then after that we can do the motion.
If I could just chime in on the fraud prevention week. I had an incident today. My cell phone was down in the basement, and by the time I got down to answer the phone, it was a call had ended. So it came up, when I pressed the button, it came up missed call, and it was, I won't say the number, but it was a local number, okay? Because my cell phone has the same first 3 digits. So I thought it was legit. So when I pressed the number, this young fella answered the phone. So I identified myself, and I said, I just missed your call. He said, I didn't call you. So the scammers now are getting extremely creative, because last year and the year before, you get calls on your cell phone, they'll probably come up Winnipeg or Toronto. And at that time, when all this started, we all thought it was legit. You know, it might have been a friend or a relative of somebody calling, you know? And once you answer the phone, then whoever's on the other line, they got you hooked. Now all of a sudden, we started to get cute. We started to catch on to that. So now you're answering your cell phone, and it's from other communities here in the province. So now you're really starting to think it is legit. So today, you know, when I get a phone call with the first 3 digits of a local cell phone number, you know, so they're really closing in here now. The next thing I expect is that they're going to have names on the phone, local names, you know, names that, you know, popular names, say here in Holyrood or that particular area they're calling. They're getting very creative in how they're doing their scamming. So just wanted to share that story, that you had to be very careful because people are falling victim to this. When you answer the phone, and if you're talking to somebody and you're giving out certain information, that information in some cases is being sold for the purpose of further exploitation. And there's people being financially duped by this. And it's, you know, we got to be very, very cognizant. You know, I'm thinking now when my phone rings, and I'm not sure who it is, only a number, if it's important, they'll leave a message and identify themselves. Right? If it's not important, they won't leave a message. Anyway.
Yeah, I just got to, actually, because you're absolutely right, and we used to get phone calls all the time, and I called Bell, and the guy, I explained to him, because he told me if all the numbers that are on, when you look at the thing, if all the numbers all run together, don't. And the other one, he said there's so many different numbers out there today that's not in use, that people are using. If you do not and what the mayor said is exactly right, if you do not recognize the number, don't answer, because if it's important, they will leave a message. Because I let it ring, and then I go in on that directory of 411, or I call back the number, and the first thing that comes up, this number is no longer in service.
Right.
Right? So how the hell did they phone me then if it was not in service?
Yeah.
Right? So
they're getting pretty cagey. Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Tilley.
I just wanted to add a little bit on to the, again, what Councillor, Councillor King was just saying. I was just, yes, there you go. It's very important to be aware when you're receiving phone calls, as well as people coming to doors, knocking to doors. Again, it seems like it's the month. I had someone call, tell me they were Bell, and I proceeded to ask them a couple of questions, only for them to tell me I was rude and hung up on me when I started asking some questions back. So again, I think it's pretty well to say now, the rule of the thumb is that companies are not calling you, you have to call them. So again, be very cognizant of that. In regard to the public safety, I just spent the last 3 days out on the ice doing recertifying with Ice Rescue. I can't stress enough the importance of staying off the ice. The ice the weekend looked wonderful when we went out on Saturday morning. Walked through the pond, leg went through one spot, the next spot it was 14 inches of ice.
Yeah.
So I'm safe to say that there's no ice on the Avalon Peninsula or in Central now that is safe. The ice is very rotten. The ice is very bad with all our weather, our warm weather, our rain has really done hamper on it. So again, I can't stress the importance of staying away. I know it's so beautiful on a nice frosty day to get out on the local pond, to go for a skate, or to get out and catch that last fish, ice fishing. But right now, it's just not worth it. It's not safe. Don't be at it, as my father would say. Don't be at it. I also wanted to revisit an event that we had planned several months back with Adventure Smarts, with being safe outside, and the Hug a Tree program for the kids. I think we planned it before, and it was kind of bad timing because it was a busy time of year before Christmas. So now it's kind of between seasons. People are not out doing their summer activities, and it's kind of a time of year with the mud and everything outside. So I think we're going to give it another try, set a date. I'm going to sit down with the CAO to pick out a suitable date, and we're going to run it again. Before we had it open, register to come to the Adventure Smart presentation. But my rule is, if one shows, we'll do it with one. As Councillor Crawley just said, announce the prevention is huge. So that is something that we will get lots of PR out on social media, do up a few posters, put them in some local stores, and we will have I'm all about having safety sessions once a month maybe, or quarterly. Something that we can put out there to the community. Even if one person shows up, it couldn't mean the difference between someone's, having a safe outcome coming home or not. So on that note, I don't think there's anything else I'm missing. Again, everybody be safe outside. Get outside. It's beautiful now. It's starting to get walkable, but be safe when you're out there.
Very good point. Okay, we'll move on to the motion.
Okay, where are we? Be it resolved, the town officially requests a meeting with the Minister Bernard Davis, Minister of Justice and Public Safety, and the Commissioner Patrick Cahill, Commanding Officer of the RCMP, for the purpose of meeting to discuss public safety issues affecting the town of Holyrood and its residents. So moved.
Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? I think it was well explained earlier by Councillor King. And let's hope we're successful in securing that meeting with the Assistant Commissioner and the Minister. Okay, all those in favour? Motion is carried. All right, thank you very much, folks. Now we'll move on to communications. Councillor Crowley.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Apologise that wasn't. I'm like, talk about communications. I know, and I'm hoping it's not too important. So we didn't meet formally as a committee, but we did discuss through email our communication program that is that we have a motion on tonight. But I just wanted a couple of little bits and pieces in regards to communication. We're talking about meeting with the commissioner, hopefully, or the commanding officer of the RCMP. Myself and Deputy Mayor Woodford are on the Northeast Joint Avalon Council, which is a council of members from various communities on Northeast Avalon. And every time we meet, we do have the sergeant of our RNC and the sergeant for our CMP come on and give us a little rundown of what's been happening and statistics and things like that, and it comes out in a package. And I did want to mention that the last time we met, just this past month, was that all the positions in Holyrood are now full. Now, that's not to say that there are enough positions given to us, right? And I'm sure everyone would feel the same way. Most towns do feel the same way. So I do think this is a very important communication piece, getting together and voicing our concerns. But in terms of the local detachment and getting a response and things like that, the local detachment is completely and fully full-time stock now. So we're good, and the response time has been reflected in all those positions being full as well. So it's still probably only one person per car most of the times, which, like I said, we'd like to see for sure. The power of 2 in every vehicle. The other thing we're talking about was the roads. I think it's very important to keep that open line of communication as well with our transportation minister. I know Councillor King also mentioned about the supervisors going up and down. I do think personally that that's gone beyond that. I don't think it has anything to do with the workers who are out on the roads. They are, I'm sure, advocating the same way as we're advocating, because their vehicles are getting hit just as hard as our vehicles. I think it goes further than that, and I would agree with another meeting with the Minister of Transportation as well, and suggest we bring that forth very, very soon as well. So in terms of our communication program, it is important to get all this information out there and to keep the misinformation down. I cannot stress how much misinformation is being passed around at this point in time. It is absolutely incredible, and of course, I'm sure everyone figures out I'm not just talking about Holyrood. But as part of Holyrood, we are going to do our best to get the correct information out in the way that our residents want. So, in our motion, it's be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood enter into contract with IceSoft Technologies Voyant System to provide communication program for residents. This system will allow the town to reach residents with real-time information regarding situations arising in the town. This program will require resident cooperation in providing their contact information in order to receive the notices. The town has completed contact information for a large number of residents who responded to our requests. However, many still have not provided their information. So they'll now have the opportunity to provide it through Voyant. The cost of the program is $2,900 plus HST, which has already been included in our 2025 budget. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor Tilley. Further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say, with regards to that, the town of Clarenville has been using this system now for a couple of years, and they're very happy with it. And one of the drawbacks that they're trying to solve is exactly what Councillor Crowley just said, is to get people to participate. Mm-hmm. You can't, the thing that the mayor out in Clarenville said, you can't have it both ways. You can't not want to be tied into the communication system, and in this next breath complaining that you didn't know that there was a leak.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was one of the major things that can get out there really quick, is leaks, road blocks or road obstructions or whatever. So they're having fairly good success with it, but one of the biggest drawbacks was the fact that you can't have it both ways. You know, and the information is protected. That was another concern with regards to people giving out their public or their private information. But he said, you know, the people that are part of it like it. It's a good system, but the people that are complaining, well, they're not going to get on it anyway. But you, like you were saying, you can't have it both ways. You not be informed and then be on social media complaining because you didn't know. So it is a good system. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I was just going to respond to Councillor King, and every time you lead the horse to water, but can't make them drink.
So when you do register and sign up, then you're in the know with
the know.
accurate, factual information. Councillor Tilley.
I just wanted to add a part with the Voyant system. A lot of times people's mind goes to, oh, I don't really care about garbage and roads, that's not important, I'm not going to bother with it. But I have seen this hands-on in emergency preparedness. I've seen how this system works. I've been hands-on involved with 3 evacuations now throughout the province of people leaving homes. And the ones that had this system were like, it was a lifesaver. The ones that didn't wish they had it. Again, this is not just for keeping the residents of Holyrood up to date on things that they might find important, but it also could be life-saving when it comes to any kind of forest fires, high tide warnings, flood warnings, anything going on of that magnitude. It is huge to be able to have communications to people just to keep them up to date. So this is absolutely a wonderful system, and I've used it personally through my work. Great system, easy, user-friendly. It's a great system. I think I highly support it as a resident as well as in the council. But again, sign up, sign up, sign up. You know, you can go in and pick what you want to be signed up for. So if you don't want, you know, you can go in and pick and choose what you want, message you want to receive and how you receive them. So again, give it a chance, go in and have a look. It could make the difference of you getting out of an emergency situation, safe or not.
Good point.
Absolutely. And to that, like you said, to that point, you really can pick and choose what you want out of it. So like I'm connected to the waste management as well. They talk about when there's early closures, when garbage pickup is going to go ahead, when it's not going ahead, and you can see throughout social media who's in the know and who's not. People asking, what happened? This wasn't done. Well, you know what? If you had that update, you would know why it wasn't done, or you'd know what happened. And it's not through the town. It was through ESRB, or it's because Robin Hood was shut down for the day. You know, there's different factors in there, or the truck was broke down. And the other thing about the emergency preparedness, I mean, there's no cost factor to put on that. There's no price to put on that as an alert system. And if you only want major disaster alerts, well, then that's all you're going to get. And people have, I mean, they've been publishing their phone numbers in the phone books for years and years and years. So I think that, I'm not sure where that idea came from, all this private information for that kind of phone numbers and emails. I mean, they're out there. They're out there, you can get. So, you know, don't be hesitant to sign up because you don't want to give your private information. The emails and phone numbers aren't so private. And then going back to the fraud, it's a term we used in computer language long ago. They spoof. They used to spoof your IP address and pretend they're sending emails from you. And people have been getting emails fraudulently for dog's age. And now they're just spoofing your phone numbers because it's out there. It's you know, the information's out there. So why not use it for good and get the communication that you need? So I don't know if there's anything else. Councillor Windsor, did you?
No.
Input?
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, it's voted and seconded. We're just gonna, it's
Okay,
moved and
we'll
seconded.
move the motion. All those in favor? Those against, the motion is carried. All right, Councillor Crowley, you can stay on your
I'll
taps
stay up.
'cause you gotta pay the bills.
You know, but I was sitting all day. Corporate Services Administration met on February the 27th with CAO Marjorie Gibbons, Councillor Bruce King, myself, and Director Marie Searle. We discussed our tax collection to date, and we're very happy to say we have over 10% collected as of 2 months in. So, and it's not even the deadline. So the deadline, of course, is April 1st for your taxes without prejudice. And of course, we always have the option of credit card now online. You can EMT, or you can pay by post-dated checks, or come in and hand over the cold hard cash, whichever works for your family situation. We also have a procurement audit that is taking place, and that will be done diligently and quickly through the process. This is nothing new. This happens every so many years, that they audit us on all our procurement process and on any things that we have procured so far. And we are in fantastic standing. I have no worries at all that there's going to be any problems come up there. Is there anything you want to add, Councillor King? Because
No,
this
it's
kind
good.
of...
As long as the tariffs don't hit us, we're good.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. I wish I could do something about that in here, but I can't. Be it resolved, those accounts tabled in the amount of $201,254.97. That would be check numbers D4614 to D4654 and 46768 to 46833. Be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
Oh, sorry, I was just going
Go
to
ahead.
say, we have some of our tax bills in there, which is why it's so high this month.
Yes.
Our own tax bills
Yeah.
that we owe.
Okay, all those in favor? Against, motion is carried.
And our bank book balance is above board at $2,507.35.
Thank you very much. Councillor King just mentioned the word, that bad word, tariff. But, and I won't belabor this, but, you know, as of 12:01 last night, or this morning, the tariffs were implemented in Canada. And it's going to have a trickle-down effect to the province, right down to municipalities. And it's going to have somewhat of an impact, I'm sure, in our upcoming budget for this year, especially with procurement and major purchases, right? So all I'm trying to suggest is that, you know, there's going to be a cost factor because certain things that we order, especially through public works, heavy equipment, those costly items. You know, if you're going to be slapped with a 25% tariff on them, you know, it's going to cost. It's going to be an increased cost. So that's all I want to say about tariffs. Councillor Windsor. You want to speak on that? Oh, I thought you said you wanted
Yeah,
to
I do. So in the go around, so I usually go last in the go around, and I get to go
Well,
first.
we're dealing with corporate
This is
service
Italy.
now, so
Might as well do it now.
just
On
we'll
the
do it
subject, yeah.
now. Have it over.
You know, the tariffs, right? I mean, it's such a big problem, and what's going on in the world today? Like, you know, and who are we here, you know, in a small town of Holyrood, and how can we move the needle on something like that? It was such a global issue, right? But, you know, I think about it like ripples in the pond, right? Ripples can become waves, and we all do our part, and we hear the news about supporting Canada and buying local and buying Canada. This is a threat to our sovereignty, and we all need to do our part. So through the procurement of small things and large things, I think that we can help. So say, for example, you touched on our major projects, and we talked earlier about the wastewater treatment facility upgrades. Well, you know, the pumps and the valves and the pipes and the filters and the fittings and all that stuff, where are they coming from? If they're made in the USA, we do not want to buy them, right? If they're Canadian alternatives, we buy them, or we buy non-USA alternatives from United Kingdom, European countries, friendly nations. Even if they are a little more expensive from those countries, it may still net out to be the similar cost if you're tacking on a 25% from the Americans, and we're doing our part and doing the right thing. So I think that's really important. I don't know the details around the Municipal Provincial Procurement Act. I'm sure the province would work with us on that for the scoring in the awards for local benefits. So I think there's some work that we can all do on that. And, you know, to the Mayor's point, like, things are going to cost us all a little bit more, but if we're going to spend the money, let's spend it in the right places. I guess is what I wanted to say.
That's
Thank
perfectly
you, Mayor.
said, Councillor Windsor. Perfectly said. Okay. Under new business, so we'll do the go around, starting with Councillor King.
I'm gonna sit down. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to sit down for this one. I agree with Councillor Windsor, and absolutely, and I know the Premier discussed that today, that the provincial government is looking at the procedures now for procurement, and that, with everything going on, because you know, they talked about tariffs, and then we put on tariffs, and then they put on tariffs and stuff. Like, where's it going to end? Right? It's going to be like a
Reciprocal next.
It's going to look like a BLT sandwich when it's all over. So I mean, it's nobody knows where it's going to go. I just got a couple of points, Mr. Mayor. The first one, I just want to recognize the fact that there was a gentleman, Mr. John Sweeney. He's a naval veteran, okay, and he passed away on the 24th of February at the age of 93. He served in the Navy for quite a few years. He served on 9 different Canadian warships. So he's one of the things. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because he's also an avid painter, and a lot of his work is down at the museum. And I think the family has already agreed that some of it will stay at the museum. Anyway, there is a memorial service for Mr. Sweeney at 11:30 on Friday morning at Dunphy's Funeral Home. And they've invited all the different, he spent a lot of time out around Carbonear, and he's going to be laid to rest over on Bell Island. But anyway, the Legions, Branch 1, the branch out in Carbonear, I think the branch in CBS have all been invited to attend. So, and I intend, unless something weird happens, I intend to go as well. And it's also open to anybody else that wants to attend. It's 11:30 on Friday at Dunphy's Funeral Home. The other one is also pertaining to the museum. They're going to start art classes, and so far they have got a tremendous response from people. It's open to anybody. It's I want to make sure that I get this right, so I'm not giving you false information. It's oil painting. It's 2 weeks. The cost is $400, but everything is included, and it's done by a professional artist, Todd Chafe, And if anybody is interested, they can call the museum at 229-7725. And it's a great way to relax. It's a great way to spend the winter. It's good stress relief, creative, self-esteem, therapeutic and fulfilling. And I couldn't help but understand that it's very similar to being on council. Right? All the different things that it entails. So anyway,
I think they've got 20 odd registered so far.
yeah, it
that.
is. They actually they're
Museum
looking at
is
maybe
hopping
having.
down, they're that busy.
Yeah, but if you get a chance to go down upstairs, there's absolutely paintings there from different people, Gerald Squires, Todd Chafe. I mean, the stuff you would see in big cities. And actually, most of the people that come in there right now, since Christmas, they've had a really influx of a lot of people. And they're marvel at the fact that it's such a hidden spot that nobody sees until they go in there, and it's all really well laid out. And like I said, so people get a chance to go in there. They're doing fantastic work, and hopefully everything will turn out and they will have a good turnout for their painting. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
That's it. Councillor Crawley.
Okay. I have a few little things here. One thing is I'm totally Team Canada. Absolutely. I think it's really important. I'm doing my best to find all those Canadian brands and things like that. I think it's also important to realize that the things that go on sale because they're not being sold, we can't shame some members of our society who don't have the money, and you say it like it's are struggling, to not shame them because they picked up that thing that might be made from the US and might be discounted because no one else is buying it. So it's just kind of an important thing to keep in the back of your head. Want to throw out our support for Ukraine, our friends, our neighbors, our residents here in Holyrood. It's really important to be shown our support there with the flag next to our mayor, which I think is very, very important right now. International Women's Day is this Saturday, and I want to say a big shout out thank you to my colleagues and my friends and people I work with and as council and outside of it. And I'm surrounded by many, many strong women, and I'm very lucky to be able to say that. Everyone who builds us up versus taking us down, so it's very important. And not everyone is as lucky, for sure. And the last thing is Education Week is coming up, so I wanted to give a little shout out to our educators. It's actually where the venture begins is our theme. And as you're saying, talking about being on your adventures and making sure you're safe on your adventures. So yeah, I just wanted to point out a few important things for right now. So thank you.
You say you're surrounded by a lot of women. Well, we got 3 of us guys around the table. We're surrounded by the majority of women. Thank you very much, Councillor Crowley. Good points. Councillor Tilley.
I just wanted to end with, we seem to be concentrating a lot the last few weeks on the news and what's going on in the world, and there's a lot of negativity and bullying and everything that's portrayed out there. I don't think I've been anywhere the last week when it hasn't been top conversation that's what we're talking about. We also got to keep it in mind too that we need to probably step back sometimes as well too. Make sure that you're okay and having a check with your mental health with all this. Anything that goes on in the world that's big and major can cause stress sometimes to people who are already at the point of can't handle any more stress. So again, if you're at a grocery store, as Councillor Crowley said, and somebody is there buying something that is on sale because it's an American-made product, just keep in mind that keep the comments, kind of to yourself, and keep that extra smile on your face. It can really make a difference to somebody, because a lot of people, this is really stressing them out, and it can jeopardize people's jobs. And it's a really, hard time for some people. So I guess my thought is just add that extra smile at the end of your day. Take a bit of time for yourself. Go out, go for a walk, turn off the TV, disconnect from it. I'm not saying don't stay informed, but stay off those wormholes of all the social medias, and take a bit of time. Go outside. You can actually go for a walk now. Go out, clean up a little bit around your yard, which I have to do, and just get out and take care of yourself.
Well said, Councillor Tilley. Very good points. Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up. Okay, that is the agenda. The date of the next meeting is April the 1st. April the 1st. At 6 p.m. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Tilley. All those in favour? Meeting stands adjourned.